Hey, there we go.
All right.
I knew we'd get there eventually.
We did it.
We did it. All right. Oh, welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 258. Your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Red.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. I did all of that with a hair in my mouth.
Nice work.
Thank you.
That's the mark of a professional right there.
Right. Didn't let it stop me. I felt it the entire time.
Okay, and Rhett also has his news stories open now. So
wow.
It's a show.
It's officially a show. How about that? Let's see. ARM is changing their license model that could complicate things for a lot of ARM partners, Google being chief among them. The EU gives final approval to the law that will force iPhone to switch their charging connector. And Doom! But first and foremost, I think we got to start every show, or start the show like we do every other show, the right way. Rhett, what are you drinking 2 minutes after getting out of your car?
I know. And to top it all off, I'm out of beer. So I poured myself a little glass of Jim. That's not little. That's pretty big. But Jim Beam bourbon, everybody. We'll go slow.
Just a little glass.
Oh, well, I was running in and it just splashed out of the bottle. So
It's not like you're going to put it back once it's in there. I mean,
no,
come on.
that's just fool talk there. So
right.
And
exactly.
You know, it's nothing special. It's Jim Beam neat.
I got nothing wrong with that. Nothing against that. I do have some beers. I'm actually not sure which one I want to go with first. So we've got from Lerving Brewing in Norway. Yeah, all the way from Norway.
Ooh.
This is the Supersonic Double Dry Hopped IPA, clocking in at 8.5%. So, gosh, I'm not even sure. Most of this is not in English. So
it looks like
I can't really even tell you. Yeah, kind of like an exploding Mr. Meeseeks.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're fine with it. Don't worry. And then from Drecker Brewing in Fargo, North Dakota, I've got the Blacklight Syndicate Double IPA. So I think I'm going to go Norway first. I think I'm going to go with that. Not sure on the ABV on this one. Oh, 8.3. So they're 8.5 and 8.3. So, but I think I'm going to go Norway. We're going to rock with that.
That's the way to do it. I just saw a Norwegian band on Saturday, so it's only appropriate that you drink a Norwegian beer.
That someone who was not there drink a Norwegian beer. Just a little funny anecdote is the difference in our pints, because the Norway one is slightly taller because it's actually truly 500 milliliter instead of the 16 ounce. So this is 16.9 ounce.
Oh, there you go. The advantages
more you know.
of the metric system.
For once, I'm all on board the metric system.
They did it right, finally.
Oh. Now it's a show. Like, I'm glad you got your notes up, but now it's a show. Let's see. Let's go through a little bit of the chat, and then I think we'll get this thing on the road. Greg's drinking a cherry Pepsi. Alvin says, first time catching the stream live, prepping myself a gin and tonic with some Bombay Bramble. Excellent. Definitely like Bombay gin. Not a bad way to go. Biggie John's got a Brewdog Jet Black Heart Nitro Oatmeal Stout. Sean's got a Dogfish 90 Minute. That's always a fantastic one. William's got a Hogshead 54 Brewery Gilpin Black Gold London Porter, 5.6%. I've not heard of any bit of that beer, but I do like a good porter. So check in about how that one is. Let's see. Dean is drinking a Sam's Chocolate Bock.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Michael S. has eggnog with a dab of rum. Matthew's enjoying a good glass of water. Nothing wrong with a good glass of water. Let's see. Oft Infinity, Down East Donut Cider. Got some scotch on standby for later, though. As do I. I've got some scotch and also possibly some bourbon for the after party. So we'll see how that goes. And I think we'll do one more. We got Stefan drinking a Kraken Rum and Coke Zero. Always a solid combo.
That Coke Zero is pretty good.
Yeah, Kraken is an interesting rum. Like, it works phenomenally well with a rum and Coke, but it's one of the blackstrap rums that it's a blackstrap rum that I have a really hard time finding other cocktails that I really enjoy in it. Like, where I wouldn't sub it out for another black rum. Like, I have nothing against Kraken, but at the same time, every time I go and try to use it in, you go Mai Tai and you try to go, little lime and some white, black, and spiced, it doesn't fit the flavor profile that well to match everything else. Like I said, I've got nothing against it, but it's one of those rums that I just can't find the best use for it, other than rum and Coke.
Right. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
So, now that it's officially a show, let's get this thing started. Starting with, 9 to 5 Google is reporting that ARM is going to be changing its licensing model to prohibit the use of custom GPUs and TPUs on ARM-based components. Now, this is going to get a little bit into the weeds, but try to follow me. So ARM essentially lets people license their CPU for creation. You can build an ARM CPU to fit your own needs and, rock and roll with that. This is done all over the industry with people like Raspberry Pi using Broadcom, or rather, back off from Raspberry Pi, Broadcom building ARM CPUs for mobile and embedded devices. Samsung with their Exynos processors. Apple with their M series, M1 and M2 based processors. Samsung makes their own ARM processors. Intel, AMD, NVIDIA all make their own ARM processors for specific scenarios. ARM is still kind of a general use computer, but it's a little bit more narrowed down, and it doesn't have as many instruction sets as, say, x86 64. And so you use it in more specific circumstances, or extremely low power circumstances is really where it's found its footing. ARM also has a set of standards that the ARM... gosh, I forget what they call themselves. The ARM group, I think it's the ARM group, has developed. And so they've gone through all of the work of developing the CPU and the GPU and the memory controller and PCI Express interfaces and all the instruction sets and all of the nitty-gritty that goes into building a system on chip. They've done all that groundwork for you. Now, the way the ARM license works is you can use all those components, or you can modify them as you see fit. There's no reason you have to use only the instruction sets that ARM includes. And so we see companies like Apple developing additional instruction sets. In Apple's case, basically doing an x86 to ARM live translation layer to give it backwards compatibility with x86 64-based software. And that's totally allowed within the ARM licensing. Now, where this is going to start getting a little complicated is ARM doesn't just make CPUs from the traditional CPU sense. What they do is they have an entire library of parts. And you can pick and choose what you want to put into a system on chip and then manufacture them yourselves. Part of the stack that they develop is things like memory controllers and graphics acceleration. That latter one is what we're talking about here. ARM may be changing their license agreements. So if you license ARM as a CPU stack, you cannot use a custom or third-party graphics accelerator on that chip. And that may change a good chunk of the industry. Currently, if you license an ARM CPU, you can use just the CPU components, and Qualcomm goes out and makes their own GPU based acceleration. They have, I'm drawing a blank on the Adreno. Qualcomm has Adreno. Samsung has Exynos. Samsung's working with AMD, but also has their own Exynos graphics acceleration. Apple obviously famously built their own graphics acceleration cores. And so there's a lot of companies out there that are utilizing ARM CPUs with custom GPU acceleration. It says as soon as October 2022, that unless customers accept a new direct licensing for ARM, they may be required to use... that was part of the statement. Where was it at? Here it is. Sorry, I was reading the wrong quote. To apply more pressure, ARM further stated that Qualcomm and other semiconductor manufacturers will not be able to provide OEM customers with other components on SoCs, such as graphics processing units, neural processing units, image signal processors, etc. Because ARM plans to tie licensing of those components to the device maker CPU license. And that will likely take place over the next couple of years. What exactly does that mean? Well, obviously GPUs, we know what a GPU is. It's for GPU acceleration, graphics acceleration, rasterization. But 3D acceleration is used a lot on 3D on phones for gaming, or even UI elements have 3D acceleration. Your Android task switcher is a 3D accelerated application. So there's a lot of different use cases for GPUs, and ARM is wanting to cut off third-party implementations of that. When you start talking about the server side, we get even deeper into the weeds, because people like Google are building their own ARM processors for AI and machine learning, utilizing custom tensor and neural processing units for machine learning and AI accelerated tasks. Future licensing may exclude them from being able to do that. They also mention ISPs, image signal processing. That has to do with smartphones and camera technology. You know, all the fancy automatic blur backgrounds and things like that? Those are custom instruction sets being added into ARM CPUs to be able to basically compute these images and enhance these images at the hardware level. That may go away if this licensing proposal goes into effect. Now, the interesting thing about this article is not once is Apple mentioned, even though to me it's kind of obvious that Apple does do a lot of custom things with their ARM CPUs and their GPUs and everything else. So I'm really curious if ARM is just going to turn a blind eye to that and go, well, Apple gives us more money than Jesus, so we're just going to let that one slide. But Samsung,
that sounds legal, right?
Right. So, interesting developments, and this is all stemming from an ARM versus Qualcomm dispute over Qualcomm's acquisition of Nuvia, which is basically a manufacturer that is trying to produce desktop and server-based CPUs with custom packaging. So developing custom GPUs and NPUs and ISPs and things like that, but aiming for the desktop and server space, which is where ARM does make a lot of their money. So very, very interesting. This may have some pretty long-standing and long-reaching effects on not just the mobile industry, but the future of desktop computing, because we've talked about this before. Apple moving into ARM on the desktop is opening ARM up as another alternative platform to x86, which x86 has had the stranglehold on the market since the Intel 8086. I mean, it's been since 1984 that x86 has been the dominant platform. So interesting to see if that continues going forward, or if ARM is going to be a significant threat. And by all measures, ARM may be a significant threat sooner rather than later.
Yeah. The article does say that ARM hasn't obviously publicly announced any of this. Like you just said, it was kind of all dug out of these legal disputes. But they have said that its response is coming. They did make a statement and basically said that Qualcomm's claims are riddled with inaccuracies and their response will come. So who knows what that means? I'm sure that, just a little damage control while they sort out their own statement or whatever. But
right. Yeah. So apparently, this is all dug out of legalese from that ARM and Qualcomm dispute. And Qualcomm might be trying to highlight some of that dispute language, or some of that new licensure language in that lawsuit. So this was all pulled from a counterclaim in court that Qualcomm filed on October 26th. So again, this is not necessarily public knowledge, but it is a public court filing that has kind of prompted all of this discussion. Is ARM going to be leaning that direction? Are the higher-ups between Qualcomm and ARM already aware of these transitions? There are so many different ramifications of this potential licensure change. There's a really good point at the bottom of the article that says ARM intends to stop licensing CPUs as independent and standalone licensing. Will no longer license CPU technology to semiconductor companies. So things like NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, etc. If you make semiconductors, you won't be able to license CPU technology, which sounds like ARM's entire business. Like ARM produces CPUs, but their business is licensing CPU models.
Well, I wonder how much of this is hoping that people are just going to buy in with new licensing models, whereas my line of thought is that somebody like Google could probably afford a little bit of a disruption to their production line, and then they can just figure out how to make their own. Maybe they can't, but
right. I mean, and we're sitting here talking about this. Meanwhile, RISC-V is over there going,
opens up new space in the market.
To quote 1996 hackers, RISC is good.
For some reason, I felt like a hacker's quote was going to happen tonight.
I mean, the over-under on that is like, 2/3 in favor. Yeah.
Guys, his last hacker's quote wasn't even 2 hours ago, by the way. So,
wasn't it?
I don't know. Felt like it was not that long ago. Hack the world.
Oh, that's right. I did do a hack the planet.
A hack the planet.
Hack
Damn
the planet.
Ah.
Yeah,
hack the planet. Yeah. It was like not that long ago. But granted, I just saw you, so.
Right. And it has been a bit of a long day. All right. Moving right along. The EU, European Union, for those not in the know, has given final approval to the law that will force iPhone to switch over to USB-C based chargers. This is, again, a pretty big deal, as it's going to force Apple's hand one way or the other, because some of the language of the new EU documentation is that you can't just include a USB-C dongle to adapt it over to your proprietary cable. Remember, the EU, almost a decade ago, issued a new law that said mobile phones require to have micro USB-C or micro USB for charging. It was a requirement. If you produced a mobile phone and sold it within the EU, you had to have micro USB for charging. Trying to reduce e-waste, trying to create standards, trying to offer some consumer protections, because honestly, the technology for charging isn't that much more advanced than what they're asking for. So that went through, and Apple went, well, hey, we're still going to offer Lightning because we can always just include a USB-C to Lightning adapter in the box with EU phones. Charge, costs us like 6 cents per device.
Yeah.
And we can keep all of our proprietary BS. And they went, dang it. Well, this time around, the EU has... Right. The EU has stated, no. USB-C built-in. Built-in USB-C. This is going to be effective by the end of 2024. So within the next 2 years, every single phone sold within the EU is required to have USB-C. Now, here's the biggest question of all. How much is Apple willing to throw up the middle finger to the EU? And either, number one, just pay the fines that come with, Lightning tie-in. Or, number two, produce an EU-only phone that has USB-C charging, and then sell Lightning to the rest of the world.
Right. Yeah. That'd be funny. Yeah.
Too bad they forced laptops to the fragile USB-C also. But new USB-C chargers can deliver 120 watts.
Yeah.
And USB-C is not that fragile.
My laptop charges with the USB-C and it has a 65-watt charger.
I've had
no issues.
My last 3 laptops have been USB-C only for charging, and I've had 0 issues at all. Compared to what? Compared to the little Chromebook stubby barrel jacks? Yeah, you don't have a leg to stand on there.
Well, it's kind of nice, like if something happens to your charger too, you can just go and literally get any USB-C charging block and you're good to go. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, it makes you wonder how big of a market does the EU represent to Apple? Because I wonder if there are fines baked into this, or if it's like you literally can't come to market with this, And in which case, do they deprive Europe of the iPhone, or do they cave? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
Seems kind of ridiculous either way, but
yeah, a lot of people are thinking that they're going to force wireless charging, which I think is the biggest mistake of all time. Hey, what's more convenient than USB-C? Having to carry a Qi charger around with you.
Yeah.
And by the way, wireless charging is not that quick. Like 15, maybe 20 watts if you're really lucky, whereas right now USB-C is rated, like I said, up to about 100 watts. I think 95 is the official spec, with 125 on the very near horizon. But as MacRumors states, regardless of their manufacturer, all new mobile phones, tablets, digital cameras, headphones, headsets, handheld video game consoles, portable speakers, e-readers, keyboards, mice, portable navigation systems, earbuds, and laptops that are rechargeable via a wired cable with power delivery of up to 100 watts, will have to feature a USB-C port. So if you plan on having a hard line charger, you have to have a USB-C port present on the device. Now, again, the out there is wireless charging, but I can't imagine Apple wanting to be the disgrace of the internet when it comes to charge times. And running through, the media gauntlet of, it takes 7 hours to fully charge an iPhone now, whereas I can charge a Samsung Galaxy in, 85% full in 15 minutes,
Well, and the other side of this too that I was wondering is, about how big of a slice of the pie that does the EU represent is, how big of a slap in the face to the rest of the world would it be if they go, introducing the EU iPhone with, USB-C charging,
right?
And the rest of the world still has the same exact thing, they just,
yep.
How much does it sink into their production to have that fork,
Right.
We'll see what happens. It's useless speculation until we really know, but
exactly. And with Apple, who the heck knows? Apple's always the wild card when it comes to things like that. So we'll just have to wait and see how much Apple really wants to play ball. Speaking of playing ball, according to the Register, after a spate of delays, Intel promises Sapphire Rapids Xeons for as early as January. So as little as 2 months away, Sapphire Rapids Xeons may be making their appearance in the wild. That is gotta be incredibly exciting news to server manufacturers, people looking at purchasing servers, people wanting the latest and greatest. So this will be Intel's 4th generation scalable. For those who don't know, these are the Sapphire Rapids that have been the 10 nanometer, but next generation giant chips. And we covered on the show with Ian Cuttress just about a month ago the existence of a Sapphire Rapids workstation chip based on Raptor Lake. And I've certainly had it in the back of my mind that as soon as Sapphire Rapids launches, I kind of wanted to see Intel re-enter the workstation market. But Sapphire Rapids entering the market has got to be the first step in that, right? But anyway, Intel on the Xeon side of things, for all intents and purposes, has been pretty darn stagnant for quite a long time. And so, yes, Cascade Lake was a little bit of a breath of fresh air, getting to go up to, I think they had I'm drawing a blank on all of my Cascade Lake CPUs now.
Me too. Dang it.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens. When we both blank on it simultaneously.
Third gen scalable. Sorry, Ice Lake. Not
Ice Lake.
Not Cascade.
Jinx,
Ice Lake.
You owe me a soda.
Yeah. No, the 10 nanometer Xeons. Even though they had the introduction of Ice Lake. Ice Lake was originally introduced back in late 2019 as, we finally made it to 10 nanometer. We can make 15-watt laptop parts. And that was kind of like the end of Ice Lake. And then they finally made it to Xeons like 18 months later. I think they came out middle of 2021 in earnest. And they did offer up to 40 cores and 80 threads. But the performance just wasn't there. It didn't wow. And it certainly didn't kick Rome off AMD EPYC off its pedestal. So Sapphire Rapids, though, is supposed to be basically a ground-up revival of Xeon CPUs. Latest and greatest Intel fabrication, and we're still kind of waiting for confirmation on a lot of different elements, specifically when it comes to core counts, die sizes, etc. There's got to be a bunch of that on the horizon, especially if we're getting this close to launch. I would suspect we hear something at least by CES. So hopefully that turns out to be the case. But we do know that Sapphire Rapids will have DDR5 based memory. It will have PCI Express 5.0. And lots and lots of upgrades for data centers. And again, specifically around PCI Express, quite a few more lanes than Ice Lake offered. I believe Ice Lake topped out at like 48 lanes, I want to say. And I think Sapphire Rapids is rumored to be like 96. Still not hitting the 128 PCI Express lanes of Milan and Milan X, but at least they're in the conversation again. And again, kind of like we said for the launch of Ryzen in the first place, at least we're talking about AMD again. In this case, in the server space, even though Intel still cleans up in the server space, at least we're talking about Intel as in the marketplace again with high-end competitive silicon. So, very excited for some news to happen there.
Hell yeah.
How about you, Rhett? You waiting for some new home lab stuff?
Dude, for sure. I've been wanting to get my hands on Sapphire Rapids, since Ian Cuttress was on the show. I mean, just that man, he got me all excited about it. So, yeah,
I think there's a lot to be excited about.
We'll see what happens. It's an exciting time to be a home labber.
Yeah. Not that these will be home lab affordable. But
I'll wait for them to hit eBay in 7 to 8 years.
Right. Like Ian and I said when he was on just a month ago, we actually, when we did our Intel Fab Tour last December, we got to see a die of Sapphire Rapids. Now, we had to extrapolate that because the PR people had kind of moved a little bit further on, and Ian and I stopped to watch this machine that was verifying or examining dies. And there was an engineer standing there, so he just poked a couple of questions, and we started, counting cores and things like that. It's like, that's not Ice Lake, and it's definitely not Cascade. Like, they stopped production on Cascade. I think this is Sapphire. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, that's cool.
Yep. Got to see the wafer, probably as close as I'll see that wafer until they hit eBay. All right.
45 folks watching tonight. Thanks for being here.
Welcome, everyone.
Stirred up a lot of conversation with the USB-C.
Yep. USB-C is only the connector, not the wiring and capability. You're correct and incorrect. The EU law, I believe, will state that it has to be capable of USB-C standards. And so at the very least, it has to accept the 5 and 9 volt standards. But you can negotiate for fast charging, for your 15 volt, your 19 volt, and even beyond. So yes, there are some dumb devices that charge over USB-C that don't negotiate higher protocols and require you to have a dumb brick or a brick that understands the dumb protocol of just like positive and negative gives power, right? I have some devices like that around here. I've got a couple of handheld game consoles that I can't charge with higher power USB-C power bricks because it doesn't know how to negotiate with the power brick.
Yeah.
Like, that seems absurd, but that's kind of where we're at. But I believe part of the EU standard, again, I haven't read the entire thing, but I'm sure it's going to include something somewhere about the standards of USB-C, charging protocols, whatever you're required to meet the standards of when you're in production. They're trashing our rights. They're trashing it.
Not again.
I see you. Powerball is 1.2 billion tonight. Home labable at launch is possible. It's very true.
Yeah, but he didn't buy any tickets, so
yeah, you got to play to win.
When's the next drawing? Probably. When do they do drawings for Powerball? It was Monday. It's got to be Monday, right? So you got to. I guess.
I thought it was Wednesdays.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Powerball drawings. Nope, Monday. You're right.
Woo. Do I gamble too much?
Calm down. Calm down.
Wow, is that what I look like when I find things?
It's not dissimilar.
Yeah, I'm the meme of the guy in third place, like biting his medallion, spraying the champagne everywhere.
Janos wants to know, anybody have a thing for SGI machines from back in the day? Oh, everyone's got a soft spot for Silicon Graphics machines. Got to get that purple and that split case, you know? Heck yeah. Thing with Silicon Graphics is I don't know what I'd do with one if I bought one, and it would just take up space. And if I gutted one and made like a modern PC into a Silicon Graphics case, I'd be lambasted by the internet for like, I can't believe you didn't keep it original. Like,
I used to be that mindset, like, oh, it's got to be original, but I'm just not that way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what flipped the switch, but some things aren't worth keeping original. Like, for what sake? Nostalgia's sake? We live in a world where functionality should come first. And if there's something that you can do to revitalize or give life, even if it's not its original intended use case, then why not?
This is such a hot topic, especially if you extend it to like the car community or, collectors of any kind.
Yeah.
But the old adage is anything gets LS swapped eventually, right? I have no problem with engine swapped cars. I have no problem with retro or resto modding cars. Modern drivetrains, modern conveniences, modern reliability. Do you guys realize the explosion that we've had in precision engineering and manufacturing over the last 15 to 20 years? The reliability of just about everything, as long as it's made well. I mean, there's also, planned obsolescence and, creating weak points in your products so your customer will be forced to buy another one later on. That's a whole nother conversation. But as far as you look at, let's just take some car companies. Let's take Kia. Let's take Kia with, 20 years ago, it was buy a Kia, get a Kia free. That's the only way they could sell the frickin', what was it, the Kia Sophia or there were so many little cars that they tried to sell. The Kia Rio. Yeah, it was the Kia Rio. Buy one, get one free, or buy a minivan, we'll give you a sedan free. And they were garbage cars. I mean, just absolute garbage. And it was because that was the best that they could do at the time with the manufacturing technology that they had, that they could afford to produce the cars to sell. However, if you fast forward 20 years, if you think about the explosion with 3D printers and the precision in home machining that you can buy and have on your desk or have in your garage or things like that. You know, machines that used to cost tens of thousands of dollars now fitting on your desk and having just as much, if not more precision than their 20-year-old, you know, industrial counterparts. When we're talking about tolerances of 0.1 millimeter, that's enough to ruin a car and destroy engines and throw bearings and that kind of thing. Well, when the precision gets down to 0.1 millimeter or, you know, 0.01 millimeter, you go, oh, that's kind of impressive, but still, you know, eventually things are going to die. Things are going to get out of place. When you start getting into the 10,000ths, you know, the thousandths and the 10,000ths of a millimeter, you're talking about a level of precision that makes things last forever. And we've been kind of seeing that as far as engine technology goes for, like I said, about the last 20 to 30 years. You know, Toyota and Honda obviously were kind of the hallmarks of like engine reliability, and these things last forever and do 1 million miles on a Honda or a Toyota, or 90% of Toyotas are still on the road, you know, 20 years later. Now think of a car company that doesn't have a 90% record.
Right.
There really isn't one. I mean, GM went through a renaissance. I think GM was the first to really change their reliability perception in the mid to late 2000s, where they started revamping everything. And a lot of that reputation came with the development of the LS engine in the late 90s.
Right.
But your car interior started getting better. The creaks and rattles stopped. They stopped killing transmissions. Dodge stopped killing transmissions. You know, Ford finally figured out how to seal an engine gasket, you know, or a head gasket, so it didn't leak oil 2 years down the road. You know, all this precision machining kind of led to better quality parts. And we've seen that across the board. You look at cars now and you look at something like a Kia Stinger or a Hyundai Ioniq 5, or cars that 20 years ago you'd go, Kia developed a twin turbo, you know, saloon? Really? Like that thing's got to make like what, 140 horsepower? No, it's 285 horsepower out of a twin turbo V6, and it's reliable as heck. And then one of the best electric car makers today is Hyundai with the Ioniq 5. So yeah, it's amazing the level of machining that is possible at the industrial level, but we also see that same kind of thing at the home level with the development of 3D printers that are, you know, 0.01 millimeters accurate, the development of home laser cutters that are 0.007 millimeters accurate. By the way, Craft Computing water bottles, get onto the Patreon so you can figure out how to get one.
Damn good plug.
Yeah. So yeah, Kia's legendary warranty wasn't out of desperation. It was a statement to the industry that we build cars that last. Yeah. Kia, when did they start that? Like 2009 or 2010, 11, something like that, with the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. You even look at, you know, Toyota was offering, you know, 3 months, 36,000. Honda was offering, you know, 50,000, and they were like insane. And you had some truck companies like Dodge and things like that would offer sometimes, you know, 36 and 50,000 mile warranties. But Kia went, no, 100,000 mile warranty, 10-year bumper to bumper. And you're right. It wasn't a desperation sales attempt like, you know, buy a Sedona, get a Rio for free. That's a desperation sales attempt. This was we're in it for the long haul. You can buy a car. It's going to last, and we'll stand by it.
Yo, Springle says, I need to know why the Craft water bottle is better than the LTT water bottle.
This one is not screen printed. It is laser engraved.
Yeah.
Stainless steel, double wall insulated. Right now I've got 22 ounce. We may work on a larger one later on. But also, this is 100% designed and cut in-house by me. I designed this. It's going on my laser cutter. It is coming off my laser cutter. It will be polished by me and then packaged and shipped by me. That's what makes it worth it. And it's just a darn good water bottle anyway. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting with 22 ounce. This is a trial run of the in-home merch creation. And I'm opening this up to Patreon and Floatplane supporters. So if you are interested in picking up a water bottle, I will be sending out information probably either tomorrow or Friday. So make sure you're on one of those platforms so you can get the most up-to-date information. And I will be opening up pre-orders here pretty soon. This will be a limited run, limited availability, potentially some customization options inside of the pattern. And as one user who already has a water bottle will tell you, the pictures do not even come close to doing this justice.
Yeah, well, the one that went out today looked really good.
Looked bomb.
Really good.
Right. Yep.
Like, I got the first one off the press, and I'm not complaining, but the one that went out today...
I had to dial some in, so yeah, we did give one away today. But are you selling water bottles or laser printers? I'm selling water bottles. International shipping? Yes. We will be offering international shipping. Now, unfortunately, it's going to be to order, which means, you know, if the water bottle costs $40 or so and you're in Norway, it might cost like $50 to ship it because everything's coming out of Salem, Oregon, and it's going ground. So I hope you all are in a place where you can get one or you can buy via proxy or something, but still $40 price point. This takes 3.5 hours to produce one. So yes, $40 price point.
It's going to be a lot of babysitting, a lot of, hovering, making sure things go well.
Right. We're looking at some possible ways to accelerate production, but that's also going to cost more money. And so remember, I'm not like sending out this pattern and having it made and then getting 100 back in. I'm making these myself out in my garage. So are laser printers the same bane to existence that inkjets are? Laser printers are a different level of annoyance. I will say less so. You still have the same issues with drivers and the same things like that. You've also got some companies with some very inefficient designs. Like HP, how many printers do you have to make in a year? And by that, I mean not just like produce, but different models, design. How many different printers do you have to design in a year to fill your quota of being able to sell 35 different makes and models? Imagine if you put all of those engineering resources and made 3. And they frickin' worked every time I hit print. Imagine how happy the industry would be.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
You think with precision engineering coming as far as it has, that maybe they would have solved this by now?
They don't want to solve it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the light bulb industry. Okay.
Is there a shark logo somewhere near said laser cutter asking for a friend? No.
Shark logo.
Shark logo. Nope. It is not printed on a shark.
Oh, is that like a brand of laser printer? Interesting.
Or it could be sharks with freaking lasers on their heads.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Freaking laser beams.
Yeah. Yep. Can I engrave it myself? What's special that you're doing? I designed it.
Yeah, I mean, you could go ahead. We'll license out the Craft Computing logo. You can print your own at home.
Yeah.
By the way, we do have a super chat that we missed.
Oh.
Yeah, from Kren, 2 Aussie bucks. He says, "G'day, mates.
G'day, mate.
Listening and driving today." Huh? That was pretty good. I'm getting better at this.
Good on you.
It's all the Bluey that I've been watching.
Yeah, it does help. It does help to immerse yourself in the culture.
Yeah, I'm basically considering myself an Australian now. I mean, I've watched all of the current episodes about 6,000 times.
Yeah. Don't mind me, I'm just dropping things over here. Yeah, you and me both. At least all my kids
Luckily,
like Bluey, like all of them do, and I don't mind watching it either.
Yeah.
So
right. I was gonna say, like, at least it's one of those shows that's not bad. Like, It's actually a really high quality show, and I feel like there's just as much in there for parents as there is kids.
There totally is. It is such a great show. At least it's not like Caillou or something like that.
Right. There's like a couple other, like some random show I went to go put on. Like one that I see at the front of Disney Plus all the time was like, The Amazing Spidey and His Friends, or Spidey Friends or something.
Yeah.
And, interesting show. It's Spider-Man and all this, but oh my God, like the writing and everything was so stale and stiff. And then you go back to Bluey and it's like, man, the writing is so it's so lively and there's so much happening and they pack so much into 5 minutes.
Right. And the other thing that I love is it's meant for Australian temperaments, which means sometimes you just need to take a bush wee.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Difference between LTT and craft computing. Water bottles, craft computing won't try to sell you a screwdriver.
Not yet.
Wait
till we can laser cut one out.
Right. No, we're not going to do anything like that. Yeah. No, if I custom machine you a but a couple of you are balking up to $40 price for a water bottle. Like, come on. I don't think you want me CNCing you anything out of aluminum.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that screwdriver like $80 or something?
Right. And every review that I've heard on it is it's a stellar ratcheting screwdriver.
Sure.
My big problem is I hate ratcheting screwdrivers. My big
problem is that it's a screwdriver.
No. Well, you've seen some of the tools that I buy around here. Like I've got some nicer tools around here. I don't necessarily hate like multi-bit drivers because they're great to throw in my laptop bag. And now I've got like 12 options in one handle. I'm very much, when I'm trying to work on something, what's called first order of retrievability. If I need a number 2 Phillips that has a bit that's this long, I want to grab it out of my toolbox and I'm ready to go. And if I need to swap that, I set down that screwdriver and I pick up the other one. I hate having to open, multi-bit containers and deal with, 1/4-inch bits and all that. I hate it.
Well, what would solve this? Standardized screws. Okay. This is my pitch. I know a guy who knows Elon. He could get us a meeting. Okay. I suggest that we pitch to Elon that he buys the screw industry and we standardize it. For $8 a month, you can have standardized screws.
If people are going to spend $8 a month, I'd much rather they just give it to me.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and have your crazy multi-billion faceted screwdrivers. You have to put one down, pick one up.
If you give me $8 a month, I will reply to every Twitter post you ever make with a blue check mark. It's basically the same thing. Jeff verifies this account is real. Now, which screw is the standard? Security Torx.
Oh, God. Well, but if it's standard and all screwdrivers are made that way, then it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? But people that use Security Torx on just like regular old projects, I basically hate you. So
Yeah. Or dishwashers that are made with security torques.
Yeah, somebody's gonna tear apart my dishwasher without
Looking
me
at
knowing
you,
about
Bosch. Although I complain about that. So we have a Bosch dishwasher. And the water pump, or the drainage pump, died on it one time. And we had to call in under warranty and get another pump out and things like that. And we got the response. By the way, this is like height of COVID unavailability of like all things, that the water pump for our dishwasher was back ordered 6+ months. And I went, well, that's crap. Like, I understand, but that's still, like, I still have a useless appliance in my kitchen that I can't use now. So I wound up getting onto a couple different websites, sourcing the pump myself, and it arrived the same day that I got a phone call that, hey, we managed to find one for you, so let's schedule a time for a tech to come out. And I went, okay, cool. So I just kind of stuck the pump up on the shelf. It's like $35. It wasn't that expensive. But I had since, like, opened some of the dishwasher, and I was looking around to some of the different bits and bobs and whatnot, and I'd gone through and cleaned everything to make sure it wasn't just, like, plugged with food or some crap like that.
Yeah.
And all the bits inside this were security Torx bits, and I was swearing the entire time that I was doing it, because there's no freaking reason in the world to do that. The tech comes out, works on my dishwasher. The tech is there literally less than 12 minutes, because we pull the dishwasher out, he lifts the thing up, and he goes, oh, there's the pump right there. Zip, zip, 2 screws come out, and the pump drops out. So I went through, like, disassembling the entire inside of my dishwasher and everything, when I should have just looked underneath it and went like, oh, there it is.
Nice, yeah.
But hey, now I know where it's at, and I have an extra pump.
And you are way more familiar with your dishwasher than you otherwise would have been.
I'm intimately familiar with the interior of my dishwasher.
Intimately? Wow. Okay. That took a turn.
I had to get in some positions that were rather compromising, I will say.
That's dishwashers for you. Yeah. There's no convenient way to get inside a dishwasher.
I love that we opened the whole rabbit's hole full of bad screwdriver standards. Apple Pentalobes and Nintendo Tri-Wings can saw it off. I fully endorse that. Security Torx. You mean the Torx with the funny little rough spot in the middle? That's the one. It's the one with the security pin in the center. I do like standard Torx. I really do like standard Torx. I would much rather encounter Torx than I would hex bits. Hex bits get bent.
You know what? We're just doing my boy Philip dirty, okay? Can we please just standardize the number 2 Phillips?
The problem is, just because you look at a screw and see cross pattern does not mean Phillips, does not mean number 2, and does not mean a standardized, like, you have to know the exact cross type head that you're dealing with. Phillips is the US standard and a good standard of the world, but there's also the Japanese standard of cross, which actually has beveled edges cut into the head itself to prevent it from torquing and stripping.
Okay, well, I think that that's a good idea. So let's do that one then. I've solved the problem.
Right.
I've solved it. So there you go. Any more problems that you guys would like me to solve for you? I'm here for another hour.
Yeah. Speaking of problems that I need solved, around Christmas time when my family comes over, I feel the need for a beer when I'm sitting around the Christmas tree. Is that something you can help me with?
Yeah, absolutely. It is something I can help you with, because it just so happens that I've got an in with Miller Lite. Okay? Yeah.
Wait, is the beer going to be Miller Lite?
Well, probably. I'm not a miracle worker, okay? I'm...
You know what? On Christmas Eve, I'll take what I can get.
Exactly. Unlike Jesus, I'm limited to 1 miracle per household, and already I've gotten you beer. So...
If you're Jesus, I'd at least expect wine.
I'm American,
not water.
Jesus. Here you guys go. Serve beer from your Christmas tree with Miller Lite's new keg stand.
Oh, that's what keg stand means. I've been confused all these years.
Well, you've been doing them wrong anyways, so.
Oh. You're not supposed to lift him over your head? If I'm going to die with honor.
Reminds me of Beer Fest, you know. He falls into the vat of beer and he's like, I'm going to drink my way out. And he dies anyway.
Died like he lived.
Yeah. So there you go. Get yourself a keg stand. Limited quantities, $49.99. Tree not included.
You know, that's actually not a bad deal for a little mini keg.
Yeah, actually,
that also holds your tree.
The keg's not included. Apparently, the stand is the only thing that you get. So it doesn't have to be Miller Lite.
That's true.
It could be.
I could get pony kegs from around here. Like,
yeah,
we've got suppliers. Does the beer come from the box or from the angel on top?
Yeah,
all
right from the tap. The little wizard.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to lead into that joke with like, okay, is it like one of the peeing angel statues in a pond or something? So I went ahead and opened my second beer. How's your whiskey coming along there, Mr. Bourbon?
All gone.
All gone. There you go. I'm amazed we're not talking about Morrowind yet. From Drecker Brewing in Fargo, North Dakota. Blacklight Syndicate Double IPA. This is a hazy at 8.3%. It's using Citra, Mosaic, and Azacca hops. And I will say it has a much more... This is going to sound weird or off or like not appetizing. Much more pungent smell than the previous hazy IPA that I just had.
So you probably won't like it.
I mean, I liked the first hazy.
Oh. Showing off because the camera's on.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, wow. That one's got a zing to it. You know how we say, for those who don't know, the hop, which is a gift from God, the hop that we create beer with, is in the same family of plants as hemp. It is a relative cousin to another herb on this planet.
Intoxicant.
Right. Which also has some intoxicating features. So a lot of Northwest beers smell very, very high of hops. Right? And so we usually will relate that by saying it's a very dank smell. You can, if you get a bona fide West Coast or especially Northwest style IPA, it's generally referred to as sticky or dank or one of those expletives. This one,
stoner words,
right? Yeah, it's stoner words. This is that same kind of feeling, but like he imported something from Philly. Like it's a hazy. It's got some citrus. It's very like, I don't even want to say orange juice. It's more like tang. like they took orange juice and they're like, nah, let's go from there.
Yeah. They're like, let NASA give this to astronauts.
Mm-hmm. So, in the same way that like Northwest IPAs are kind of cranked up to 11 as far as that their herbal roots, you know, the essence, the oils, the those kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is a hazy that's kind of cranked up in the same way. I'm waiting to see if the acid catches up. And I will say, there is a very high scratchiness, like more than just like it irritated my throat a little bit. It actually scratched the roof of my mouth on my way down.
It looks like you have like a mimosa in that glass. Like,
that's not that far off as far as like, a super dry champagne mimosa.
Yeah.
Like super, super dry.
Sounds tasty.
Like they use Brut instead of Spumante, like.
Right. Nice. Well, who else uses Brut and not Spumante?
Who's that?
The products and services that support this. No, I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong. I know quite a few of the people over at Linode, and they definitely like champagne and stuff over there. So, if you've ever thought about hosting your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't want to host all your own problems, why not let Linode host them for you? Even the most skilled server admins will tell you that you should decentralize your network, so why not host your services with Linode? They offer shared CPU plans for as little as $5 per month and can scale as high as you need to go. With dedicated CPUs, virtualized hosting, GPU hosting, NVMe block storage, and whatever your use case may be. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode is also expanding at light speed, with 12 new global data centers planned just by the end of 2023. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing. And again, thanks to Linode for sponsoring today's episode. And I'm going to wait on this because I think I skipped a paragraph somewhere so you can actually see the call to action there at the bottom. That's linode.com/craftcomputing. $100 60-day credit. Thanks, Linode. Today's episode. Linode.
This episode is from the Node. Nailed it.
The Linodisode.
The Linodisode. This episode.
As long as we don't have to do the Linode Soda Hour.
There you go. No promises, but.
Let's see. What else we got next? Anheuser-Busch to launch Cantaritos by Jarritos hard sodas. So you've probably seen these at every grocery store if you go down the Hispanic or Mexican food aisles, or in the cold sections, or like we have like dedicated shops around here. Jarritos sodas. They come in a whole bunch of different fruit flavors and whatnot. And they're actually pretty good. They're really good. Really enjoyable. Apparently Anheuser-Busch is partnering with them to come up with hard soda lines, which honestly may not be the worst thing in the world. Like a lot of other soda-inspired cocktail in a can style drinks, these will clock in about 5% and will mimic a lot of the fruity flavors of the popular Mexican soda. These should be rolling out sometime in 2023, and you'll see them popping up in California and Texas as a trial. The 12-bottle variety, they will initially launch a 12-bottle variety pack and 6-pack bottles of mandarin and pineapple flavors, as well as 25-ounce cans of mandarin and pineapple flavors.
Yeah, their pineapple's pretty good. I don't know if it's their mandarin flavor, but they have an orange one that is like so orange. It is legitimately the only orange pop that I will drink. It is so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of partial to their lime. I really, really like the lime.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good lime, but that's like a recent development. I haven't had one of these in a while. I used to work at a Mexican grocery store, so it was like, it was just like a taco and a Jarritos like every day for lunch,
Right.
Somebody says those sodas are watery, and I just say, get out of here.
I just say you don't necessarily
square inch.
I just say every soda doesn't need to necessarily be a spoonful of sugar.
See, and that's the thing. I don't know how like sweet or sugary they are, but I do feel like they carry more flavor density than like other, like especially like drinking Orange Crush. Doesn't it? It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like you get one of these orange flavors. Oh, so good.
Of course,
So good.
I of course do not disparage the crisp, clean orange taste that comes with Sunkissed.
No, Sunkist is tolerable for sure. Yeah, Sunkist is good.
Looking out for you, Epos. And with Turnabout being fair play, Dr. Pepper has brought their own little bit of Turnabout to the market with a bourbon flavored soda.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Wild, huh? Pretty good. Or it looks good, rather.
I'm definitely interested. One thing that I like to do, I don't know where or what people call them in other parts of the country. We always called them Italian sodas. Is you get just a little bit of syrup and then sparkling water or club soda or whatever else. And so you see them at a lot of different Italian restaurants, you know, and I've heard them called a number of different things, but we called them Italian sodas. You get like the flavored syrups that you put in coffee and whatnot that, you know, hardcore black coffee drinkers despise. And you can top it with sparkling water or, you know, add a little cream to it if you want an Italian cream soda. They're fantastic. And that we have a dozen or so syrups out in our fridge, and we do sparkling water, and it's delicious and it's low cal and it's good. Again, not every soda needs to be a bucket of sugar inside a 1 liter bottle. Yeah. But to that end, man, if I could get something bourbon flavored without, like, I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested.
Your liver health might actually make a turn for the better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. You know, whiskey vape juice is good.
Whiskey vape juice?
I don't know why. That just made my stomach hurt a little bit.
I don't know that those three words belong in the same sentence in that order.
All I could think about was just like, I don't know, drinking like when you chew tobacco and you just don't spit it out.
Right. It accidentally dribbles down your throat a little bit. Like,
yeah. That's what I pictured when he said whiskey vape juice.
Yeah. Whew.
Jonathan asked if the drink is alcoholic, and it doesn't look like it is. Sans alcohol. Yeah, the article says there's no alcohol. Comes in a silver can, old-timey label.
Yep.
But yeah, sounds like they don't necessarily plan on going with a wide-scale launch or anything like that. So you got to be a part of this special thing that they got going on. But kind of interesting nonetheless, because I like Dr. Pepper. It's the king of pop. You know, it's at least the most well-educated of the pops.
Right. I mean, spent at least 6 years in college.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. So, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if Mr. Pibb came out with this, I'd probably pick it up as well. Just saying. Like, it doesn't take a doctor to realize that bourbon's a good flavor.
Yeah, true. Mr. Pibb is actually pretty superior to Dr. Pepper in a lot of ways.
You're not wrong. You're really not wrong.
Yeah, I know. I take a lot of stances on pop, but it's because I have evidence to back it up.
Right. Dr. Pepper is the best. My favorite anyway. Of course, Dr. Pepper is the best. Do you do the Dew? Not since high school.
Yeah, I used to drink Mountain Dew religiously, and then in high school we made a bet of who could go the longest without drinking pop. We put a pool together, like $20 a piece, and the person who held out the longest got to collect the whole pool. And when I went back, I fantasized about that first Mountain Dew because I drank it so often.
Yeah.
And when I had that first sip, it was so awful. It has never tasted the same to me since. It tasted just like sweet syrup. It offended me. And even now, like I managed to drink a Diet Mountain Dew once a couple of years ago, but the taste of that initial return to Mountain Dew has shocked my system. It was like pickle juice if I were Jeff. It was like pickles spilled in my mouth on accident, except it was something that I once loved immensely.
I love that you guys did a tontine for soda.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, it's hilarious.
What can I say, dude? Small town.
Yep. Let's see who commented it. Jonathan says, I wanted Dr. Pepper to do like the root beer alcoholic drinks that have come out, like the Not Your Dad's root beer and things like that. Yeah. Honestly, Kraken and Dr. Pepper, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Although my favorite is probably Sailor Jerry and Dr. Pepper.
Now, if you can find the Dr. Peppers made with real cane sugar, which is usually like sold south of the border, but if you can find it up here, you heat that sumbitch up and you pour some bourbon in there, and you got yourself a delightful warm drink. Hot Dr. Pepper with bourbon. But it has to be cane sugar. It can't just be the high fructose corn syrup Dr. Pepper, or you're going to be disappointed.
Right. I will say, I don't know if you remember, Mountain Dew came out with their Dew Shine a while back, which was based on the original recipe of Mountain Dew. Now, a lot of people don't know, but Mountain Dew was meant to be a whiskey mixer. Mountain Dew is slang for moonshine. Yeah, how quickly we forget. I
mean, they did the throwback, like when I was in high school, they did the throwback where they really leaned into the hillbilly, like.
Oh yeah, no, they did the Mountain Dew throwback with the cane sugar and whatnot. But no, they actually came out with a version of it called Dew Shine, which was again straight up, this is the recipe that was meant for mixing whiskey. I bought so many different 6-packs of that and tried so many different whiskeys in them, and they were all delicious. Like Mountain Dew in the traditional sense as a whiskey mixer gets my seal of approval.
Yeah. Do the do.
Yep. Warm Dr. Pepper, the mid 1900s are coming for you, says Dean.
Can I say?
Yep.
I'm crossing the generational divide,
Right. And got a lot of Sailor Jerry love in the comments as well. Yeah, it was actually my grandpa who turned me on to Sailor Jerry.
Lots of cross-generational outreach going on.
Right. We were up in the mountains and we were doing some hiking and he goes, hey, do you want a little pick-me-up? And I went, sure. And he hands me a bottle of Sailor Jerry and a Pepsi. And he goes, here, take a sip of the Pepsi, then top it off with the Sailor Jerry. I'm like, I like where your heads are right now.
That's a grandpa drink.
That's totally a grandpa drink. Yeah. It was either that or he does, brandy, cherry brandy. Cherry brandy and Pepsi. For an alcoholic cherry Pepsi.
That would be interesting. Yeah, brandy kind of has that, like, yeah, it has that going for it.
Little syrupy, I
can see that being good. Yeah.
Did very well. It solid choice.
I've only seen my grandpa drink hams. So, yeah. He won a shuffleboard tournament after drinking, like, probably 10 of them. So...
Well, they're 4.2%. Like,
he's an old man.
I know, but that's like me going out after 2.5 IPAs. Like,
fair enough.
Yeah, cherry brandy and Pepsi. Oh, that does sound good. It's solid. It's really solid. But no, my grandpa, like I said, he turned me on to Sailor Jerry because he. What was funny is growing up, you if you lived in a good house, you didn't realize your parents ever drank, right? Like,
oh, is that the mark of a good house? Okay, I'm out.
I'm just saying, like, in general, you know, that there was either you never knew your parents drank, or your parents drank all the time and you understood the consequences of their drinking, or it was like the posh thing that they did. Like, you know, when the kids go to bed, I enjoy a good cocktail or glass of wine. Like, yeah. I feel like those are the three different levels if your parents drank.
There's another level.
There's another level.
It's not the good level.
Right.
Way to bring down the whole show, Red.
We're going to have to talk about this in the after party now?
Yeah, I guess so. Get ready for Rhett to unpack his childhood trauma for 2 hours, guys.
Come join us if you need therapy too. We're cheaper than a therapist.
But I will do it shirtless. So
well, there you go. Well, that unpacks a whole nother level of.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a different session now. And it only costs you less than $1 a month.
That's right. No, it's at least $1 a month.
I don't know why I always say less than.
Right.
I say that a lot about Patreon.
You do, but I can't make that joke. For less than $1 a day, I can't go there. I can't go there. Oh.
Yeah, even the chat stuffed.
Yeah. What level of drinking alone in front of your computer with fake internet friends? Well, that's just modern life post 2020, right?
Yeah, we don't actually attribute levels to modern drinking. Okay, we're talking 90s or earlier.
Right.
Anything after that, and it's cool to drink.
Right.
It's fashionable.
Right.
They do it on TV shows.
Like all of our parents smoked, and that was like, you know, like it was just kind of like it was the normal thing, but it was also like dying out. Like grandma smokes like 6 packs a day. Yeah. And you smoke and you're trying to give it up, but you'll still smoke socially or just in the car when you're really stressed and whatnot. And it's like, no, that's not cool. They say it'll kill you. And now it's like, if I smoke a pipe, I'm cool again. Like it's gone full circle.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, though. Nobody has ever denied that smoking doesn't look cool. It looks cool. But I do like.
You ever been to a vape cloud contest? Like those are pretty dope.
Well, they are dope. Vaping looks less cool than a cigarette. Yeah. But that's just me. The clouds look cool.
It really depends on if you've got Gandalf skills or not.
Yeah. Honestly, I actually sometimes feel sad when I see people just ripping on those. They got like the big mods or whatever, and they're just like, and they take a big thing, like a big old lungful, and they're like, the clouds look cool, but I kind of feel like they don't look as cool as they think they do. Like nothing like having a Marlboro between your lips, you know? Like, and I'm not even joking, dude. I don't know what it is about cigarettes. Those things make you look badass, dude.
I like how you went from, you know, Jim Beam to James Dean in like half a second.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. Maybe this is the inner boomer in me. I'm like, these millennials and their fake smoking.
And their vapors.
Buy a pack of spirits and be done with it.
Spirits.
Well, I did. I was at the store the other day, like buying a Pepsi or something, and it was like the freaking pack of American Spirits was like $12. I was like, how do people afford this anymore? I couldn't believe it.
If you think that's bad, what do you find out the cost of the apartment they're trying to rent?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, enough on the economic loss. Let's talk about Microsoft's economic loss.
Here we go.
And how much it costs Microsoft to make each console. Shocker, more than they sell it for. What is this, the Xbox 360 all over again? Yes, it is. So for those who thought the Xbox Series S and Series X were phenomenal deals based on the hardware that's inside, Microsoft feels that way too. Phil Spencer, in a recent interview, confirmed that Microsoft loses up to $200 on each and every Xbox console that it sells. Obviously, the Xbox Series X. Inverse of that. The $100 loss on the Series X and a $200 loss on the Series S. So you save $100 is actually costing Microsoft an extra $100.
So the real point of this is that we could end Microsoft if we buy constantly Xboxes and then never use them.
And then never use the service associated with them. Right.
Exactly. We could take down a Titan.
I don't think we're taking down Microsoft.
Together.
We might upset a few Microsoft execs, but I don't think we're taking down Microsoft. On
my mark, unleash hell.
So this has happened before in console wars, although it's odd that Microsoft seems to be kind of alone in this.
Well, now, it does say that other consoles lose, but that the $200 price mark is significant.
Right. I don't honestly believe that the Nintendo Switch loses money.
Right. And the article says all console manufacturers often sell at a loss with the exception of Nintendo.
Right. Right. And that's what I was going to bring up is Nintendo doesn't take part in this. They take all of your money whenever they can. As evidenced by Skyrim is still $60. Come on. It's 11 years old.
Yeah.
But taking a loss on consoles is actually not an unusual move, as you might think. Now, yes, every Xbox that Microsoft sells, they lose $100 on an X and $200 on an S in the hardware that they sell. But if you sign up for Xbox Game Pass,
that's all
they're making $120 a year at $10 a month or $12 a month or whatever the tier that you happen to buy is, $15 a month for Family Pack or whatever else. All of a sudden, they're looking at making that back within 12 months. Well, what if you have that console for 6 years?
Yeah. There you go. They've made their profit.
Right. And not only that, but every single Xbox game is licensed through Xbox to be able to sell. So every single title that sells via online or physical, Microsoft gets a cut of too. And that's the licensing model for pretty much every games distribution platform, from Nintendo to Xbox to Sony to Steam to Epic to everything else. If you buy a game on a service or for a specific console, the console manufacturer or owner or whoever makes a decent amount of profit on it. In the case of Valve, it's like 30% for PC games sold through Valve's Steam service. In the case of Xbox, it can be 20 to 50% depending on the game. I know those stats and specs have been revealed throughout the years. As much as $200 on a loss for an Xbox Series S seems, I don't actually think it's the biggest loss financially that Microsoft's ever done, because I know the Xbox 360 was a hell of a loss leader. That and the PlayStation 3 when they were competing against each other, because you can go into the store and buy those for like $199 and be equivalent for a short time of like a $600 PC. Well, that hardware was still being made by AMD, whether they liked it or not. Skyrim 2021 Anniversary Edition bundle is $95 Australian on the Switch. 95 bucks. Yeah.
That's crazy. See, and what's wild is like Dark Souls came out 2 months before Skyrim came out. And in that time since, we've had 3 Dark Souls games. and a spin-off, and that's just Elden Ring. There could be more. And what do we have from Skyrim? We have release after release after release after release. Re-release rather. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's a great game. Great game. But
I'm personally looking forward to GTA 5 on the PlayStation 6. I mean, I think it's going to bring a whole new fidelity that we already saw on PC to a fourth generation of console.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Sounds exciting, you know?
Yeah. All right. I promised this at the top of the show, and I figured we would end with this, and maybe a little bit of time left for Q&A, but Doom! It seems this year we've been talking a lot about new ways to play Doom or new things that Doom is being played on, because the old adage of can it play Crysis started with can it run Doom? I mean, that can it run Doom was a meme 25 years before we knew what the hell a meme was. Okay. But the goal of can it run Doom has always been a hardware and or software hacking goal of anytime you get root access or hardware exploit ability or whatever else. One of the first things you got to do is try to play Doom on the hardware or software that you've just accessed, right? We've seen Doom run on everything from, obviously, the PC it was designed for, the x86 DOS PC. We've seen it run on an NES. We've seen it run on microwaves and treadmills and pregnancy tests and John Deere tractors. This one may... I say take the cake, but holy crap, I never want to... I don't think you can actually use that phrase with Doom, because there's always going to be something else that comes out. In this case, it is a 7-segment display that is daisy-chained together, basically a public reader board prior to LCDs and all that stuff, has been hacked to be able to play Doom via a Raspberry Pi and a serial interface.
Hell yeah.
So, for those who don't know what a 7-segment display is, that's like your old VCR that flashes 12 because no one knew how to set it. Boy, does anyone even get that joke anymore? Crap, I don't know.
I mean, things still need to have time set.
They still have to have time set, but most things also have either Wi-Fi or GPS built in now because it's cheaper than buttons to set the time.
Yeah, I mean, the two main clocks in my house are my microwave and my oven, and they needed to be set by hand.
That's true.
So,
it's true. My fridge sets itself, though.
Well, that's high tech. That's high tech. That's pretty impressive, actually.
So, yeah, for those who are interested in what a 7-segment display looks like, here's a Rickroll on a 7-segment display. Okay? So you get, obviously it's very rudimentary graphics, and like, here's it playing Snake. You know, you can, oh, look, there's a snake, and there's the bugs that it has to eat, right? Don't cross your tail. Oh, no. Well, here is it running Doom. It totally runs Doom.
There's a better video of it, because it's hard to see what's happening on your screen. It looks really dark. There's a better video of it if you go back to the Hackaday and you click on the link where it says on this 7-segment display.
Oh, gotcha.
And that takes you to Reddit, which then will show you a nice little...
gotcha.
And you could you have a little bit more detail there that you could see.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, I can't go full screen because I'm...
Yeah,
there we go.
Look at that. Now you can see him like moving around and stuff. Like,
yeah.
You'll see some bad guys here pop up. Like, look at that. Get him.
Yeah.
That's fun. I like that. Kind of has a new life this way, you know? Oh, yeah. He died right there.
Oh, no. Yep. So, yeah. The old question of can it run Doom claims one more victim. Now, interesting note here. Springle says, so can you run Doom inside of Doom running Doom? And actually, we're about to answer that very question, as it turns out. So, obviously, Doom is a staple when it comes to not only first-person shooters, but PC gaming in general. It set a lot of the standards that modern games still follow when it comes to first-person shooters, immersion, control standards, etc. There are so many things that id did correctly in the development of Doom, in the presentation of Doom, in the UI of Doom, that modern games are still kind of replicating. Now, obviously, in 2016, Doom got a revival in all of its modern glory with Doom 2016. But there's always the allure of the older style, the 1993 Doom, the 2D sprites in a barely 3D environment. Well, as it turns out, GZ Doom now has a new mod in which you can play Doom Eternal in its entirety in Doom 93.
Nice. Heck yeah.
Yes. So this is available on ModDB. And so if you go to ModDB, it's called Dead Ascension. And they've recreated the entirety of Doom Eternal in Doom's engine. You can download this map pack. You can play it. It has weapon enhancements. It has modern HUD overlays. It has most of the gameplay that you would expect from Doom Eternal.
In the original
format.
That's hilarious.
So you can run Doom inside Doom.
Sweet. Well, there you have it. That solves a long-standing mystery
that
we've had on craft computing.
Right. Can the craft computing water bottle run Doom? If you ask nice enough. I mean, the hardware is there. It might take a little bit of a software refinement to get that going, but... let's see. We did get a super chat. Tech Geek sends over $20. Just got done with work, listening on my way home. Cheers, guys. Catch you in the after party.
Cheers. Thanks for the $20, man.
Yeah. And if you want to take part in the after party, join the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. You'll get access to my exclusive Discord server where I hang out, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and we do an after party every Wednesday immediately following the show. You get to chat directly with us in video chat, ask us questions, and see where the conversation goes. And not only is the after party great, but the Discord channel in general is phenomenal. And I don't just say that because it's mine. It's actually like a point of pride that I like my Discord as much as I do. It's genuinely an amazing group of people, phenomenal community that happens there. And it's not just talking about like craft computing related stuff. It's a general purpose community that talks about everything from food and beer to 3D printing and homemaking to automotive and there are occasionally classes in there to teach you how to solder or program or anything like that. There's gaming events that happen a couple of times a month. And obviously talking about craft computing videos, asking me questions, getting behind the scenes access. It's all there. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough, and not just because it makes me money.
But because it makes me money too.
Right. I'm paying 2 mortgages here. Do you guys understand that? $40 for a water bottle. You're darn right, $40 for a water bottle.
It's a good value for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta view it as though you're getting a really cool design on it. I mean, that's
handcrafted.
Yeah.
Craft.
I mean, I have like a Nalgene water bottle. You guys have probably seen it on the show. It's like the bright orange one. That thing cost me like $50.
Right.
And it was because of where I bought it. You know, I was supporting the place where I bought it from. But you know, yeah, and you might go, it's a water bottle. Yeah, you could repurpose a freaking Crystal Geyser water bottle if you really wanted to be nitty gritty about it. But that's not what we're doing here. We're making you this cool handcrafted merch right from the studios, the factory floor of craft computing.
Right. Yeah. Why is it worth $40? Because I'm literally doing 100% of the work myself. It is designed by me. It is sourced by me as far as the water bottles. It is printed on my machine. It will be packaged and shipped by me. Yeah. So, let's see. We did get a question in. Janos wants to know, thinking of replacing a Core 2 Quad FreeBSD router with a 5700G and Proxmox, plus for some other services and pfSense. Your thoughts? 5700G is a heck of a processor. 8 core, 16 threads, modern Zen 2 architecture. You'll be able to do a lot with that chip, especially coming from a Core 2 Quad. If you go back and look at, gosh, is it all the way back in 2018? One of my earliest tutorials on setting up FreeNAS at that time, I was replacing a Core 2 Quad-based system, which was a Xeon X3575 or something like that. So same platform, same tech. Yeah, you're going to benefit a lot from the 5700G. You'll be easily able to run pfSense and probably, honestly, the sky's for the limit as far as like home services you want to run on there, as far as like Plex servers or home storage or wherever you want to go with it. So fantastic way to go.
Andrew Preston says, are we serializing the water bottles? And then Michael S says, we should mention the possibility of putting your name or signature or whatever on the bottle.
Way ahead of you, Michael.
Yeah.
I will not be serializing the bottles because I don't want to be like you ordered it first and have to coordinate that with the shipment, simply because of the logistics of that internally. However, we do have a section of the water bottle that is sanctioned off for name customization. So if you want to engrave a username or a Discord name or something like that, we do have that section available. It will be an additional $10. I'm looking at $40 for the water bottle and then an additional $10 if you want it monogrammed. Because it does take a little bit of additional machine setup and tweaking and verifying just to make sure that all the customizations are correct. Plus, I've got to take your custom water bottle, make sure it gets put in your custom shipment and shipped to you so you don't get someone else's name. There is some work that goes along with logistics as far as that goes. So, but yeah, so pricing will be $40 for the water bottle, as you see it right here. And then we do have a spot for monogramming. If you want to see what that looks like, talk to Yakto on the after party.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So yes, we will have a monogram option for it. Let's see. Intel versus AMD. Better buy. Getting a new CPU soon. Mid-tier. This generation, Intel looks like kind of the better buy. It's not that Ryzen's a bad buy. This is probably the most amazing time to be a CPU consumer since 2001. As far as the level of competition that's available and the fact that you don't know who's going to be better, but you know if you buy something, it's going to be good. It has been a long time since we've seen this level of competition in the CPU space. So I'll give you a sneak peek of tomorrow's video. I just rebuilt my Ryzen 5950X workstation that I just built less than 12 months ago. So Ryzen 16 core, 32 thread, Zen 2 based CPU, clocks itself to 4.8 gigahertz all day long. 13th gen. I just replaced it with a 13900K. And my multi-threaded score in Cinebench, R23, went from a 24,233 to a 40,078, or about a 55 to 60% increase. One generation. Now, the 7950X is not that far off, but it also costs more. It's $750 versus $600. And a lot of the mid-range Intel chips, like the 13600K, even the 13500 or 13400, are looking like amazing values, even with Zen as competition. And not that the Zen chips are that bad of a value either. In fact, I have a video coming up about how used Xeons are dead. Yeah, you heard it here first, from the one who loves his used Xeons to maybe you shouldn't use used Xeons anymore. Yeah, stay tuned for that one. Let's see. Favorite J-series embedded Celeron? I would have to say the 1900. Just simply from I think that's when the J-series kind of hit its stride. And since Intel has been so stagnated since then, it really hasn't gotten any better. I mean, we're still waiting on 10 nanometer J parts to come available. Maybe another 2 years we'll get something that, hits above its weight class. But until that time, the J1900 in my mind still reigns supreme. Maybe the 2950. Maybe the J2950. Let's see. John J. I'm sure it will be doing the packing and shipping. Possibly.
He's seen me use a tape gun before, so it's dicey.
It's embarrassing. Let's see. Craft Computing. Hey, I learned about Proxmox from your channel. You should make a video about those passively cooled pfSense routers while using Proxmox on them. It's pretty cool. I thought about that, but with Proxmox, those systems are fairly low powered because they're just like we were just talking about with J series Celerons and even Atoms and low series Pentiums. If you're using like a Celeron 3150 or something like that, you've only got 4 cores and 4 threads with 1.8 gigahertz. What other services are you going to run there? Like, you can definitely run pfSense in a virtualized environment with that. You might be struggling for gigabit connectivity, though, if you have a gigabit service provider. Can you also run Pi-hole as pfSense? Or, can you also run a Pi-hole server? Can you do recursive DNS? Can you do a VPN based on that? Can you encrypt said VPN? You're getting really dicey really quick with that low power, that low wattage of a CPU. Remember, those are only like 8-watt CPUs at full tilt. So while they're amazing for pfSense as standalone boxes, and you'll definitely get gigabit throughput as a standalone box as long as you're talking about like layer 2 translation. I don't know that they're the best for a virtualized environment just because of CPU cycle time. So, yeah. Liked it better when you did the Xeon stuff. Unfortunately, the Xeon stuff is, like I said, it's not like I'm going to stop doing Xeon stuff, but I can't necessarily wholeheartedly recommend you go out and buy a Xeon 2698 V4 when a Ryzen 1700 will mop the frickin' floor with it. And, oh, by the way, is available at a cheaper price, has native NVMe, newer PCI Express, a third the wattage, inexpensive memory, standard connections, easier to cool. There's a lot of factors to take into play here. So, yeah. Let's see. i486 is officially dead. Linux no longer supports them as of this week. Yeah, I saw that. That's sad to see the old DX2 go the way of the dodo. Let's see. Craft Computing, I completely agree about old Xeon hardware. I have a few in service, not worth it anymore, especially ones with no AVX. Yeah, well, again, it all depends on kind of what you're doing with them. A lot of my services that I run at home are actually fairly basic, with the exception of a lot of the vGPU stuff that I do, because on one hand, it's like, yeah, run Pi-hole and a VPN server and do some Plex encoding. Here's a NVIDIA card to handle 95% of that workload for you. Oh, and then also run a virtualized editing machine with 24 gigs of video memory that can encode in H.265 in 4K. Like, my use case varies wildly. And here's the deal. Will Xeons continue to work? Absolutely. Are they the best value proposition for your dollar today? That's become very dicey. In fact, on the table behind me, I just picked up a Ryzen 3700X. So Zen 2, 8-core, 16-thread, 4.4 gigahertz, $129. The top-end Ivy Bridge Xeon, top-end Haswell Xeon is $100 right now. And yeah, you're getting 18 cores or 16 cores, but if you're talking about CPU cycles as far as the number of VMs and instructions and things that you can run on them, the fact that the Ryzen runs almost twice as fast means you can do the same amount. Oh, and you have modern architecture to build off of. So it's interesting. It's a very interesting market right now because we are seeing such an explosion in CPU performance. And again, the used Xeon value proposition stems from the fact, all the way back in 2011, that Bulldozer frickin' nosedived as far as value goes. AMD just didn't bring competition to the table, and so Intel could rest on their laurels and do 5% year-over-year increases. And got a little sloppy themselves toward the end. So I think it's more happenstance than circumstance that led to used Xeons being such the value that they have been for so many years. But if you start to look at more modern CPUs, even an i4-8400 with only 6 cores and 6 threads holds up very well against 12 cores and 24 threads of a 2690 V3 of a Haswell chip. You look at a 3700X, and like I said, it'll keep pace with like a 2697 V4 at 65 watts instead of 140, and it does it with DDR4 memory and PCI Express 4.0 support. So it's going to be some interesting time moving forward, especially if we start to see some of the consumer and enterprise chips from the last 2 or 3 years. So I'm talking like Epic Rome or something similar start plummeting in price, because I think they're gonna have to. You can't stay at $1,000 if you're a Rome 7742 CPU with 64 cores and only 2.2 gigahertz. That's almost being flat out embarrassed by a 13900K. To be clear, I benchmarked the 13900K against the 7742 today, and it was a lot closer than it should have been. Let's see.
Another super chat there.
Another super chat. Alpha Banana Baseball sends over 7 Canadian bucks. Thank you. I think those spend the same. Love what you do, Jeff. You keeping the enthusiast scene alive and kicking. Respect and much love. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Got a pair of X99 and 5820K boxes. One mine, one inherited from Dad, that I just need some use case for, since I run a trio of PCI 3.0 GPUs, and an X4 NVMe SSD. Honestly, the 5820X, it was a really good chip in its day at 6 cores and 12 threads. But man, is it looking really, really aged at this point. If you have an X99 board and you're looking to get a little bit more life out of it, I just said used Xeons aren't a great deal. Since you have an X99 platform, used Xeons might be your step forward. Something like a 2687W V3 or V4 or a 2667 V4, where you can jump yourself up to 8, 10, 12, 16 cores, maybe not as fast, maybe not, 4 or 4.2 gigahertz or wherever that one boosted itself to, but I think it leveled off at like 3.8 if you didn't overclock it. And even overclocking, like you were lucky to get 4.3 out of that thing. There are some Xeon chips out there that do quite well in X99 boards. So the 2667 V3, the 2690 V3, 2690 V4, 2697 V4 is another hell of a chip for $100. Drop that into your X99 board, and all of a sudden you've got 16 cores and 32 threads that'll still boost themselves up to 3.4, 3.6 sometimes, and get you some extra life out of that board. Let's see. Caveat for first-gen Ryzen. Memory stability is an issue for server running 24/7. I would say only if you're trying to run it at 3000 megahertz, 2933. Ryzen is still plenty stable, even in its first generation, if you're running 2400, 2133. And honestly, that's not... If you're running server tasks, it's not that much of a hit to your performance. So what should I replace my dual 2650s with? If you want to just upgrade your CPUs, like I said, if you've already got the platform, the chips are dirt cheap right now. And so if you're talking V0s, you can get the... anything jumping up to Ivy Bridge would be a heck of a move forward. Something like the 2690 V2, 2695 V2 would be a huge step forward, although it's also a huge step forward in the amount of power used. So keep that in mind, as well as cooling in mind. Hey, Red, how's life as a cam op and editor?
So good. It's great. I got to, start late today, have some breakfast, and then move a camera around. It was fun. It's a good day.
Right? Rhett and I actually had this conversation just like 2 days ago. Like, we could work our fingers to the absolute bone and crank out as much content as we possibly could and probably make a lot more money a lot faster. Is that really what we want for the channel? Is it really what we want for quality? And do I want to be working my fingers to the bone right now?
Right. I've gotten... What's the sustainability?
What's the sustainability of that? Like, yeah, sure, flash in the pan is one thing, but sustainability of like people expecting 3 videos per week. At my peak, I produced 2 videos per week. Now, oddly enough, I produced those alone while still working a 60-hour-a-week job. But I feel like our quality has gone massively through the roof. I'm still producing between 6 and 8 videos per month. Do I want to produce 10 videos per month? Absolutely. I would love to produce 10 videos per month. And that's probably a goal for 2023. God, I almost said 2022.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
The 10 videos per month is probably a goal for 2023 moving forward. Because more content equals more better. But a lot of that is going to come from production improvements and efficiency improvements that we make here internally. I don't want to sacrifice quality simply to crank out quantity, because other things get sacrificed along the way. So yeah, right now we're kind of fine working like 4 to 5 days a week and 6-hour days. And, I get to spend every evening with my kids and have dinner every day with them. And, Red only has to drive away from his house 3-4 days a week. Like, it's not a bad gig at all.
No, it's great. And the thing too that I really hammered on when we were talking about this the other day is like, my last job was stressful. And not that this doesn't have its stress, like when we're really up against like a deadline or something, or if a project isn't coming together the right way, or some of the camera equipment just decides not to work suddenly, like that's stressful, but it's nowhere near the level of stress that I used to deal with.
Right. It's no longer life and death. It's no longer people's lives hanging in the balance. It's no longer the uptime and viability of servers that are serving thousands of people. For me, it's no longer, entire school districts and real estate offices and companies and people's lives hanging in the, not like actual lives, but like livelihoods hanging in the balance. For me, it's just like, oh, I guess this video is going to be slightly uglier than our last one. We had an issue today with our camera slider. I invested very big money. It was one of the first big investments I made into the channel. I spent almost $3,000 on a camera slider because I wanted some automation and reliability and repeatability of a lot of B-roll shots. And since I was a one-man shop, that seemed like the obvious choice to go with over camera quality is get your camera operability done first. And so $3,000, it was not a small investment. And today that rig died. Now that was almost 3 years ago to the day. Like I bought that 2019, maybe October, November. Like it almost exactly 3 years. I didn't buy an extended warranty for it. I just went with the 1 year warranty and went like, we'll kind of float it if we need to. Today, like all 4 servos stopped responding in that rig. And I went, that's a problem because we use that a lot. And, I sent them an email at 11:30 this morning and got a response at 12:15, and they go, "Oh yeah, no, we know what that problem is. Send it in to us. You'll have it back in a week."
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was all the stress that we had to deal with today. Oh no, my camera slider stopped working for an hour.
And I was going to say, like, when you compare that level of stress to something else, this is
to something like servers are down at 11 p.m. and blah 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 blah. Yeah. I'm all right now.
I would say the only really difficult part sometimes is like when you put your heart and soul into a project and then to watch people pick it apart to talk about something that you didn't even mention in a video.
The most stress is from reading comments. I mean, honestly.
It's totally within our control, but we're still small enough that we want to be able to engage with people. And so you read the comments and you're like, really? Right. Like you got 20 minutes of content and you're focusing on that one frame or this thing or
that
something that's not even
off-cuff.
Yeah.
Or like the fact that I didn't say something.
Yes. It's not only just what's in the video, it's also now what's not in the video. Like you're like, I love dogs, and like, this guy hates cats, get him.
Hey, here's a cool hardware-based ISO mounting, CD drive emulating, USB drive emulating, VHD mounting, do anything SSD caddy. Yeah, but you didn't say Ventoy, so you've personally offended me.
Or my favorite, hey, have you ever heard of Ventoy?
Right.
Like, no. How did we get this far in this field without ever having heard of Ventoy? Thank God you told us about it, though. We would have looked like real idiots.
Right. Maven chimes in with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Maven. So I've been running an Instinct MI25 with the WX9100 BIOS. Any updates on SRIOV? SRIOV isn't the problem. It's getting drivers to support it. So for those who don't know the full story on the Radeon Instinct MI25, it is an MX GPU capable AMD card. It was meant for vGPU, what I've called cloud gaming or distributed computing or VDI. And they tout it as being based on open standards like SRIOV, which it totally is. However, all of the drivers to actually make it work are behind paywalls through OEMs and system integrators. So you cannot download MX GPU drivers for the Radeon Instinct MI25 direct from AMD. You have to go through a third-party partner, such as Supermicro or Dell or HP or Cisco or whoever else that you bought your particular server from. They're under licensing agreements to not give you the driver unless you happen to have bought into their program and have their, all their support packages and everything else. So AMD saying it's license free is such a bad bit of double speak, because NVIDIA licensing is expensive, but at least they tell you what it's going to cost and allow you to download it. Okay. Now, is there any movement on SRIOV? None that I've seen. Again, SRIOV enabling isn't the problem on the MI25. It's getting it to actually work with more than one head on it. The whole point of VDI or cloud computing or cloud gaming is to be able to run multiple 3D accelerated machine instances from a single graphics card to better distribute your computing power. And it's something I've been very passionate about for like 20 years. And yes, the MI25, based on the Vega 56, but with 16 gigabytes of HBM2, is a freaking steal as far as compute horsepower for $99. And in fact, if you want to flash the WX9100 BIOS onto it or the Vega 56 BIOS onto it, you end up with a card with a single mini DisplayPort output that is Vega 56 and 64 speed equivalent. It's a great value on a graphics card. But it's not a great value for a compute GPU if your goal is VDI, because AMD doesn't want to play ball. Hopefully Intel Flex will be there to pick up the slack and maybe force some competition and some changes with regard to licensing across the VDI industry. But so far, nothing much.
Sweet.
Yep. 2670 V2 for $13. Yes, please. For those that don't know, the 2670 V2 is a 10-core, 20-thread CPU. I believe it has a 3.2 gigahertz turbo and a 2.6 gigahertz base. $13. Yeah, if you wanted to upgrade a 2650, which is a 2 gigahertz Sandy Bridge base with like a 2.2 or 2.3 gigahertz max all-core turbo, 8-core, 16 threads. Yeah, 2670 V2. Be the best $13 you've ever spent. This guy's indifferent to snakes. Get him! No one knows this, but we quite frequently use that Futurama reference in here in the studio. Of
it's like a daily
this guy hates Ventoy. Get him! No, I was picking my nose. No, he's picking his nose. Get him! Yeah. So, imagine if Jeff built a company for virtualization in 20 years. Yeah, but I just talked about I don't need that kind of stress in my life anymore.
Right.
Yep. All right. I think that's about it. Hey, Craft, it's been a while since I've been able to catch the stream. The channel has grown so much these past couple of years. Congrats. Thank you. Thank you, Custom PC Gamer. Yeah, we just crossed 285, in fact, 286,000 subscribers like yesterday. So yeah, we're coming right along. It's been a heck of a journey, and plan to be here for at least another 5 years. So
there we go.
Yeah. Anyway, that I think is going to do it for episode 258 here on Craft Computing. Oh, one last, you got it in just in the nick of time. I was in my outro. Alice with a $5 super chat. I know you aren't big on the 8-bit retro stuff. I am, but I don't do a lot of videos on it. But it sounds like David Murray is about to start shipping the first batch of Commander X16 Mobos. Ooh, Commander X16s. What was that project again? Because I know of like the Super 8-bit. Oh, this is the Commodore clones. That's right.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, no, I actually, I read a story about that and actually may have received an email about that. But no, the Commander X16, which is the open source Commodore 64 clones, are coming to market. I was actually just doing a bit of research on the Super 8-bit, which is the Nintendo Famicom from scratch clone that you can solder together at home yourself and get modern, I say modern, but like SCART and VGA and component outputs from it, RGB outputs from it. You can get all 4 sound channels enabled, so you can get like the Castlevania 3 4-channel audio enabled. You can get the microphone so you can talk to your original Zelda game. All in a little package that, you know, you can build yourself. And so I'm definitely into like niche projects like that. Would I ever cover them on this channel? No, I don't think so, because I think I've developed my audience to be a certain type of niche, and I need to fill that certain type of niche, but it doesn't mean I'm not interested. So
maybe craft extra.
Right, maybe craft extra, or, you know, I'm still not afraid to do the odd video on off the wall things. Like if it's interesting to me enough, then it's definitely something I will do. Like I've done everything from like knockoff Game Boy Advance cartridges to Bluetooth speakers to chairs to sit-stand desks. Like I've done a lot of different weird things on the channel, and if it's something I find interesting, I'm willing to cover it. Now, that being said, like, if I've covered the same OEM project or product out of random email number 3, I'm not going to cover it out of random email 33, because, well, half of the like portable monitors that are on the market are the same portable monitor. I was talking to Tom over at Lawrence Systems about this, where he's been randomly sent like 7 15-inch 1080p portable displays, and they're literally all the exact same casing, controls, firmware, panel, everything except for the logo that's slapped on the front of it.
Yep.
So, but review one of those. Hey, here's a use case for it. Go crazy. Like I'm not outside of esoteric and weird use cases either, so who knows? Anyway, this is going to do it for episode 258 here on Craft Computing. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop this video a like. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what your favorite part of this video was, what news stories you want us to expand on, if you need us to make any specific videos on anything. And if you want to support the channel because you like the content that we do here, subscribe to the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you get exclusive access to the Discord server, and every contribution literally helps me keep the lights on around here and keeps roofs over Rhett and mine's heads.
Keeps my hat looking nice.
That's right. Yeah, don't want to rain down this time of year.
No.
Mess with your style.
You know it, baby.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this one, and as always, we'll catch you next week. Cheers, everyone.